Good evening. I'm Ralphie Ortiz. This will end in darkness. Audio only. We are on vacation, so the Bones is pretty much locked down for the end of the summer festivities. That means WRCAM is locked down. That means we are on vacation. But I brought my mixer with me, so now I'm in a nice little hotel out here in Northern Bones, enjoying the festivities. It's nice to be part of the WRCAM family. It's nice to be part of, the happenings. I was hosting a barbecue at one of the local eateries. High on the Hog. We were at High on the Hog. You might remember them from some of our early episodes. They sponsored the show. Not so much anymore since we've gone all conspiratorial. But they were a sponsor. And I had no problem hosting for High on the Hog, their annual barbecue. It was quite fun. There was some good music, good friends, good drinks. But I didn't want to miss an episode. We had missed last week as we recovered from the Manson episode, which if you haven't watched that, you should. And I'm saying you should watch it on YouTube. You should go check out the YouTube. Don't get me wrong. If you're an audio only listener, I appreciate it. And it's probably easier for you driving around. You can put on my rantings and ravings. It's easier. But the Manson episode is a visual episode. Has some really cool stuff in it. So give it a look. Give it a look. But this one's going to be audio only. So everyone gets the driving experience this week. And we didn't want to miss one. Okay? So this is what we're doing. Let's see. A lot of things are changing around here. Typically with the audio onlys, they're a bit more personal. They're a bit more one-on-one. So let's clue you into some stuff that's happening. I will soon be starting a new job. WRKM paid me a little bit, to get me through this unemployment phase. But now I'll be starting a new job in October. So we have about a month and a half of just hanging around, waiting for that to start. Once that starts, we're going to have to figure out our recording schedule. But the goal is to have some episodes in the docket for October, because we want to do a Halloween festivities, man. We want to do every episode based on ghouls and goblins and other horror stories to get you in the Halloween mood. And that's probably what we're going to do. Now, that does sound fun. One of the things I didn't realize about the Manson episode was how much fun it was to do research. I miss doing that. That was some of my favorite stuff to do in high school and in college. Read books about obscure stuff and have to report on them. And have to be like, hey, here's some shit I found out. So we're going to try to do that more often. It seemed really nice to do that. We'll be pushing forward into the holiday season as well. So episode 99 will be the last episode before we take a break until next year, as we always do. Typically, we always break around mid-November, but I kind of want to push it till late December so we can start later in January, possibly February, and just have a month to just get it back together, recharge. 80 episodes we've done in this thing, and it's been a journey, and we only have much more to go. We have a lot more. I'm excited for what the future holds, and we also want the show to look different. There's some aspects of the show we want to look different visually. So if you're an audio only listener, this probably doesn't affect you. You'll still be getting your podcast when you get them and how you get them. But if you ever want to tune into the video show that airs on WRKM first, and then we throw it up on YouTube later, you might want to check it out, because it's going to start looking different. It's evolution. We've been doing this since 2021. 3 years of doing a podcast is, some people don't make it past the first 7 episodes. That's a well-known fact. Most don't make it past the first 7 episodes. And I wonder why that is. I wonder what stops people from getting past 7. 'Cause I think when we did ours, when me and the Wonderkin was still together, we had kind of planned what the first few episodes would be, so we wouldn't, be worried about what we're going to talk about this time. So we got past the first 7, and then we just kept going. And here we are now. This is episode 81. I at least want to get to 100. You know what I mean? If I can just get to episode 100 and then let the chips fall where they may from there. But to have 100 hours of content would be nice. Which, to be honest, we're probably even closer there with the .5 episodes and stuff like that. I didn't want this to be a .5 because typically the audio onlys are a .5, but it has something to do with Manson, so it didn't feel right to make this a .5. So let's make it an 81. Handheld mic, so you hear me breathing a hell of a lot more. But you know, it's interesting being around the Scouts again, and just because they have a different way of life out here. You know, how they handle things is very different. You know, I always call the Scouts, you know, the Northeastern Spartans, because they live a very warrior-like kind of existence. Like, to them, confrontation is not something to run from, but to embrace. You know, they are not afraid of the world around them. They make the world around them work. And when the apocalypse does come, these people will probably be the only ones that make it through. You know, so many people think about the apocalypse and they go, well, I'm going to make it because I have skills, and I watch YouTube videos about skills. And let me tell you, I'm ready for anything and everything that comes my way. And that's what I thought about during the pandemic, because like everyone said, oh, you know, I could survive a zombie apocalypse. Then I found out most of them wouldn't. I found out most people would hide their diagnosis if they got bit. Most wouldn't take the zombie cure. So you start to learn things here and there. You start to realize who's going to make it and who's not going to make it. Even with, like, you know, doomsday prepping. Everyone loves doomsday preppers. Back in the day when I was a kid, a doomsday prepper was made fun of. You made fun of that guy because it was like, what's this guy fucking doing? He's spending all his time fucking worried about the apocalypse. He's got a fucking bunker. He believes in fucking, you know, wild conspiracies like the Rothschilds and shit like that, and how the economy's gonna fall. No one's gonna have any real money, and it's all about who has the bigger guns. Like, you just make fun of those people. Now you look at the world around you and you're like, well, maybe he's not so wrong. Maybe he's got a point. But then the problem with that is people start thinking, well, I could be that guy. I could totally be that guy. I can totally find a way to have amazing marksmanship skills. I would know how to hunt and farm, and I'd just be so fucking ready because I can't be stopped, bro. I have my mind and I'm dedicated, and I want my family to live. Everyone thinks they're Viggo Mortensen in the road, and the problem is a lot of them aren't. Most people have a fantasy about living off the grid. I had the off the grid fantasy quite often. Living in a cabin in the woods, not being bothered by anyone. Just eating what I kill. Writing my books. Then they find manifestos. Then I come back to society, let off some bombs. Become the Unabomber, if you will. Maybe that's deep down what I want to become. The Unabomber. We should do an episode on the Unabomber, because I find him so fascinating. But I do want to read his manifestos, because apparently they're fascinating. I do want to check them out. Did he accurately predict 21st century? That's for you to decide. Go look it up on YouTube. We'll come back with an episode on it. Who knows when? But I do want to do Unabomber. But those guys always get, you know, fantasized because, or fantasized. There's a word for that. Glorified. See, like, this is what happens when you take a break off. I start losing my vocabulary, what little vocabulary I have. But those guys get glorified because we all think that's the big leap. If we could just take the big leap and get out of the cities and get away from society, we would no longer be a victim of society. But the problem is government still exists. Government's still going to do what it's going to do. If you don't own your land, they can tell you fuck off. And how many of us actually own land? How many of us can't afford to own land? You know, we talk about it all the time, you know, the World Economic Forum idea. You'll own nothing and be happy. I hear you. That's scary. 15-minute cities. You know what? We're going to do something on that. 15 minutes. I want to do a deep dive on that, but I want to do it researched because I understand both sides of the argument. 15-minute cities, weird. Little kind of weird that you want everyone to stay within the 15-mile parameter, but we'll get to that. But I think what I'm most interested in today is how many people think they can do these wild movie-like things, and they try it and they get hurt because they realize, no, you were softened by our modern society. And here's the thing, it's okay to be softened from our modern society. It's what it was built for. I saw a video earlier today. They were showing old high schools and their gyms, and like how like, oh, look at everybody, they were so fit, and all the guys were lean, and they were able to do multiple push-ups and all that. And I'm like, yeah, because they were training them for war, because they knew World War was right around the fucking corner. Is it now? Maybe. But you gotta consider, from Vietnam to now, we haven't had a real war. Like, is the war in Iraq a real war? Or was it us just killing a bunch of people who couldn't compete with us, but there were just more of them than us? That's what it seemed like an extermination situation. That's a terrible way to put it, but it was more of an extermination. We went in there to exterminate terrorists. They had a problem, terrorist problem. That's what we came in and did in Afghanistan, and I guess Iraq, or a dictator problem at that point. But that's what those wars always felt like to me. And not to say those guys aren't honorable. They fought for their country. They believed in what they were fighting for. At least some of them did. Then they found out some of them weren't. Then some of them found out they weren't there for the best reasons. And they came back and they talked about it. They had these burn pit situations. So it is fascinating to see how modern society has changed our outlook on survival and what it is to be a capable human being. At the same time, though, everyone always assumes that it's everyone else that's at fault, and it's not. Like, just because you have the moral high ground to go, well, I don't do that. I don't indulge in modern society because it's corrupting. It's like, all right, good for you. The rest of us do. The rest of us like to have a nice steak in a nice restaurant while drinking a nice wine and talking about the latest Netflix series they watched. Not all of us can be reading Marcus Aurelius 24/7 and being stoic and deep. Not all of us have that ability. And the ones who do, who are hyper-focused on masculinity and stoicism, tend to be kind of gay. They tend to be kind of gay. And it's funny how they always worship the Romans and the Greeks and Spartans when they were kind of gay. But yet, they're concerned with masculinity. Maybe being gay is masculine. That's not the part I'm going to tell you, though, because that doesn't fit into their narrative. But everyone thinks they can be a Roman soldier. Everyone thinks they could be a doomsday prepper. Everyone thinks they would be the one to figure out how to survive some apocalyptic landscape. And the truth is, you're not. You're not that person, and it's okay. I know I'm not that person. Believe me, there's a level of self-reflection that goes on here where I start to realize, you know what? I may think very highly of myself in some degrees, but I can't do what some other guys do. I can't. I used to do jiu-jitsu in high school. I was pretty decent at it. Did I keep it up? No. Do I have a mild understanding of it? Yeah. Do I think I can beat most people now? Probably not. Maybe the untrained people, but even guys who just started training a year in, I can't beat those guys. I can't beat guys who've been training for 6 months. They've been at it longer. But having trained in jiu-jitsu always somehow seems to give me this level of respect where everyone's like, damn, I was a hardcore dude. Yeah, I was a hardcore dude. Now I'm fat. Now I'm jelly. I'm Majin Buu. Even though Majin Buu was a great fighter, I don't have his fighting abilities. I have his physical abilities. But I can't turn things into chocolate. Damn shame. If I did, I'd be a great wizard and a great fighter. But that's just how it is, man. Like, there's this weird There's this weird thing where everyone wants to be this like 1950s ideal, or the exact opposite. They want to be a Ted Kaczynski, off the grid, free of everything kind of person, but you're never free. Like you don't get free. That's just how it is. You don't get free. The government can find you at any time. They have drones, they have satellites. They will be able to track you. You cannot escape. Can't. And the thing is, maybe we should let some people escape. Because, some of these people are kind of dumb. Some of these people shouldn't be around. That sounds like eugenics. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is, we should grab all the dum-dums and throw them in a place like Appalachia. That's the key. Find a place and put all the rednecks in one place. Texas is not even the redneck capital of the world anymore. It's becoming more and more a purple state. The day Texas flips blue is going to be quite interesting, isn't it? People say, it's only Austin, Texas, but you hear about Houston, you hear about Dallas, and you start to wonder, what's changed? Maybe more people of color are now part of those cities, and the whites are losing the ground. Tends to happen. Is that the white genocide Matt Walsh is always talking about? Maybe. Matt Walsh is in trouble again. Always getting on women about being single and independent. Some lady put a TikTok up, and she was like, I had to wake up at 10. I don't have kids. I'm not married. You know what I did today? I watched reality TV. I learned a new recipe. She was having a great day. And she was sharing that, saying, hey, if you're single, it's all right, dude. You got time right now. Just do what you want to do. Work on yourself. Learn some shit. Enjoy some shit. Apparently, it's wrong. Apparently, her job should be tending to her husband and birthing babies, which was weird because I always understood that as a conservative platform, women can have rights. Understood. But when you watch the libertarians then jump onto it, it's kind of concerning. Cause it's like, I thought libertarianism, maybe I got libertarianism wrong, is as long as people are living their lives and it's not breaking the law and it's not hurting anyone else, it's okay. But apparently libertarians are now adopting light conservative views into their libertarianism, which to me kind of makes a third party not cool anymore. To me, it's like if a third party sounds a lot like the other two parties, then I'm no longer interested in third party. It's always don't trust the government, don't trust the people in power, but vote third party because we're totally different. And no way when we have control of the military, the government, and everything else, will we be corrupt. No. And this is where I have the issue with a lot of people in terms of political conversations. There are no good guys and bad guys, only interest. So you vote for your interest. And my interest is, hey, let the chicks do what they want to do. Let women live the life they want to live. Heavens fucking forbid. Radical concept. Maybe the nuclear family doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't. And listen, I'm not rooting for it not to. I would love for that old nuclear family ideal. This is fun. I think where conservatives get liberals wrong entirely is that it is not that we don't want those things to work, is that we have been disappointed by how little they have worked. It is a disappointment, not necessarily a rage, not necessarily a deconstructionist idea. It is, hey, these things didn't work for a lot of people. Forcing people to stay together in a marriage that's unhappy did not work out for this kid. So we probably shouldn't force people to stay together. We should probably destigmatize divorce so people can have happier lives. Because let me tell you, I know kids whose parents stayed together and it didn't work out for them. I know kids whose parents divorced and it did work out for them. There is no generalized rule for how this thing works. You work with the tools you got. To me, that's the way life has always operated. I don't necessarily think the way I live my life fits other people, so I don't enforce it on other people. I just do what I can do. And I offer advice from my point of view, not believing that people are going to take it. I think here's an idea, here's a concept, see if it works for you. But often in these political conversations, it is people who want you to live the way they live because they figured it out. And that's the way it should be. And when you see Matt Walsh go on these huge tangents about free women, doing free women shit, it comes off kind of gay. It comes off as, oh, women, oh, they have control over the thing we want and they won't give it to us. So we have to tell them they're bad for living their free life. But us men are great. So we can do whatever we want. And we love being in the presence of men and being loved and marveled by other men. But God damn it, women be subservient. Like, it just comes off kind of weird. It comes off a little bizarre. But that's how they operate. To me, any political movement or any philosophy that says a woman has to be subservient is just not for me. It's just not for me. It's just, what it sounds like is abuse. That it just sounds like a license to be abusive. And here's the thing. There are people who have that kind of relationship where a woman is subservient and they work it out and the guy happens to be a good guy. That is a rarity. That is a rarity, statistically speaking. Most of those marriages end in abuse. But once again, 1950s ideals. I'm the old school man. I'm keeping my family together the old school way. And I lead my household. Okay, dude. Okay. You got it. Your family seems miserable, though. Your kids know you don't like your wife and your wife doesn't like you. But you're only together because the nuclear family has to be upheld. Did it help? Like, I honestly wonder if you look at statistically speaking, if you look at the kids who were in marriages where their parents were fucking miserable, how did they turn out? There's probably studies on that. But everyone thinks they are the exception, not the rule. A lot of these red-pilled men think they're the exception, not the rule. But the truth is, they aren't exceptions. They're kind of lame. And here's the thing. Do I think super liberal dudes are lame too? Yeah. They're cucky. I've been around some cucky dudes. They're cucky. Women are just so much better than us. Let's pump the brakes there. I think it's a bit more equal than that. I think it's a balance. There's cool things women can do. There's cool things men can do. There's trash things women can do. There's trash things men can do. I've always been in favor of balance. Both genders are trash. Objectively speaking. Both are kind of whack. Both do not box their weight class, ever. They always want more than what they deserve. And that's the problem. Not all of us can be like me, who happen to have boxed a little outside my weight class and got someone who, let's be honest, I say she's an 8 and I'm a 5. So I got lucky. But it's true. But most people can't. Most people just gotta accept, hey, love the one that loves you. Ain't no shame in that, man. Have realistic expectations. You know, no one wants to have realistic expectations in a time where you need to have realistic expectations. This is the time to have some realistic expectations. You know, the money isn't flowing the way it used to. Not everyone's got a glamorous life. Start looking for the ones who love you. Start looking for the ones who tolerate you. The ones that will hire you. The ones that fuck with you. This is not time to chase dreams. It really isn't. This is the wrong time to chase dreams without a safety net. It's, you know, I used to hear those stories back in the day where a person had like $300 in their bank account and they were like, fuck it, man. Like, we're going out there and we're going to make it happen. I'm going to drive to New York City and I'm going to become a star. And then we've heard those stories too many times now. Like, there's too many people who have kind of made it And now we all think that's possible. But the truth is, I was watching this other video today that some of the music industry isn't necessarily built on talent. It's built on good business. So there's plenty of talented people who are sitting at home and not famous. You don't know them. They're making dope music, but you have no idea they exist because their music does not generate money. Same thing with pro wrestling. There are fantastic pro wrestlers out there. Some really interesting talent. Guess what? They're not getting booked. Why? Because they're not friends with guys in the locker room. They don't have anyone to suggest their tapes, or they're not a gimmick that you can sell. Wrong time to follow dreams if you don't got a business plan. Wrong time to follow dreams if you don't have a backup plan. You gotta have a plan. There is no bumbling your way through this shit anymore. There isn't. Even TikTokers have a plan. It's wild when you look at how those TikTokers regiment their pages, where at a certain time every other day a post drops, and the way it's fucking crafted is fucking expert level. It is fucking wild to me. Between the captions, the graphics, the music, man. Mr. Beast, like, I've made fun of Mr. Beast here and there, but that dude pours every dollar he gets back into his content. He does have some money left over. But if you look at his content, it is, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he's able to shoot all these videos back to back to back. It's like he never takes a fucking vacation. And that's, like, if that's what it takes to be Mr. Beast, then fuck that. No, thank you. I'm good. Don't need it. Do not need that. And maybe that is what it takes. Maybe that's why some people make it and some people don't. But I think Mr. Beast, is he a hard worker? I guess. He worked the algorithm very well, but he figured out something at the right time. How much of success is just dumb luck and chaos? A lot of it. Sometimes hard work gets you there. Mr. Beast could have made videos early on in the years of YouTube and not been famous. That's what's crazy about it. But right time, right place. Right algorithm. But then you have a bunch of people who think they could be Mr. Beast. Some of you can't. Some of you can't. And that's kind of all right. I think we have a low self-esteem society where people compare themselves to other people all the time. No good. That's no good. That's no good. Anyway, I have this news article that I find fascinating. Family who went off the grid in Colorado wilderness died of malnutrition, autopsy finds. This comes straight out the NBCnews.com affiliate. 2 sisters and a teenage son, one of them who told family last year they would live off the grid, died of hypothermia and malnutrition as they endured the elements in the Colorado wilderness. Of all wilderness to go to, Colorado? That's what we want to go off the grid in? I want to go off the grid, but I still want seasons. Even though if you read about the Oregon trails and the journey west, a lot of people died in the winters, but I think we can make it. We know better than them. Christine Vance, Rebecca Vance, and their 14-year-old son were identified in July after 3 partially mummified bodies were discovered in a remote campsite in the Gunnison National Forest. The teenager, who was not named publicly because of his age, weighed just 40 pounds. Dude, you're 14 years old and you're 40 pounds. According to the autopsy from the Gunnison County Coroner's Office. Oh, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, where are my glasses? Who knows? First reported by the Colorado Sun. The average weight of a boy of his age is 112 pounds. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, loved ones said they were surprised the sisters would choose to forego modern conveniences, but that Rebecca Vance had grown increasingly fearful of society after the COVID pandemic. It's hard to wrap your head around why they chose to go, said their stepsister. It's hard for me. She said that Rebecca Vance had confided in her that they wanted to live in the wild. Okay. Initially, Christine Vance didn't seem like she was going to accompany her sister last summer. She arrived at her sister's She arrived at her stepsister's home with an urn of their mother's ashes and their deceased parents' belongings for safekeeping. Jara says she pleaded with her stepsisters to go slow, test out living off the grid on her property that she and her husband own in the mountains that uses a generator. But she said Rebecca Vance declined. So you mean to tell me her stepsister was going to go, hey, you're not ready to do this shit. You're not a ride or die bitch like that. Pump the brakes and let's do a tutorial. Let's not get crazy here. Let's pump the brakes and do a test run. You know, that's, I think, what people really need. To get over this idea that they're like these fucking badass people. They should be a badass camp. That you go and you find out, are you a badass? Can you live out in the woods? Are you as smart as modern day philosophers? We need a red pill camp. None of them were known to be skilled in the outdoors. Well, no shit. The sisters had explained in vague terms to other family members that they were going out of state, but wouldn't detail exactly why and where. If you think you can go live off the grid, do it just by watching YouTube and the internet, think twice. You need experience first. The Gunnison County coroner Michael Bonds, previously speculated that the cause of death may have been related to exposure to cold weather and malnutrition. It appeared they were burning tinder in empty soup cans inside their tent for heat. Dental records and fingerprints were used to identify their bodies. Investigators also found a lean-to type shelter, a roofed structure generally made from logs and used to protect them from the elements in the campsite. Desiree McDonald, Rebecca Vance's friend and former co-worker at the now defunct electronics chip maker Atmel Corp. She worked for the chips. God damn it, we need her. We're battling Taiwan for computer chips right now, and she chooses to go into the fucking forest. She just did her goddamn fucking job. She said Rebecca Vance told her that her son was initially struggling with the transition to homeschooling and that she hoped life could go back to normal. She added that Rebecca Vance was doting and a loving mother, although McDonald hadn't seen either of them in years after they lost touch. I could definitely see Rebecca thinking that it was going to be better for their lives. I now know that they didn't prepare enough ahead, and I just wish I knew. See, this is what I'm talking about. We watch YouTube videos, we watch Instagram shits, and we go, I got it. This guy could do it. I can do it. This is the problem with accessibility culture, right? Like it was like when Joe Rogan was telling everyone to start podcasts. That was a bad idea because a lot of podcasts shouldn't have started. But this is the same way with like a guy like Cameron Haynes going, you gotta get out there. You gotta go into the woods, learn bow hunting, be a man. It's like everyone thinks, yeah, this guy did it. Why can't I do it? Not putting together that those guys took decades to learn that shit. And they're like Navy SEALs. And they're like military men who had to learn this to survive. Everyone goes, this expert just showed me how to do something. I can do it. I'm ready to be a badass. I'm ready to be a woodland creature out there where they write poems about me years later. And they call me a ghoul of the forest. Because that's where I live. And I'm out there. And everyone goes, oh my God, did you see that guy in the forest? Yeah, he's been out there for 20 years. Wow. He's really got it together. He really knows what he's doing. He lives untamed. Well, technically, he's tamed by the forest because he can't do much outside of it and his own mental instability. But that's kind of what it is, isn't it? That's the dream. To be mentally ill in the middle of a forest where everything's provided to you. Maybe that was the Garden of Eden. Maybe Adam and Eve were mental deficients. And everything was great. And they didn't have to go anywhere. And the food was provided. And the snake went, look at these fucking idiots. I got them. They think all this comes for free. They think they can just walk around willy-nilly. Getting animal food. Like, that's another thing. I also wonder about that. Like, were they allowed to kill things? In the Garden of Eden, like, all right, did Adam get to have bacon? Pig's feet? Hamburgers? Probably not. Probably a very vegan lifestyle. Doesn't sound cool. Maybe that's why they lived if we're to believe like 300 years in the Bible and stuff like that, because of a vegan lifestyle, but doesn't sound cool. But this mom and her sister and their son, like, the son has some reservations. He has some reservations. But as we learned with the submarine guy, kids don't have a say, really, when their parents do dumb shit. And they should. What 14-year-old kid wants to give up his cell phone? There's boobs on there, man. You really gonna give up your cell phone and go hang out in the forest? Who was he supposed to meet in the forest? What weird shit was supposed to happen out there? That's what these families don't ever understand. If you go off the grid and you live in the woods and shit, how's this family gonna grow? You know what happens to those families? They become incestual. It gets gross. If you want to live off the grid, clearly you want to do incest, congratulations. You're a fucking weirdo. Is that a generalization? It is. And I stand by my generalization. Can't stop me. I'm a man with a microphone. Clearly what I say is true at all times. But that's where we are. When we talked about the pandemic for the pandiversary, we said some people aren't coming back. These are the people that don't come back. These are the people who sit around going, hey man, like, the world's so scary. It really isn't. Hey, the schools always sucked. Society always sucked. It's not anything new. This isn't something, you only realized it now because you had all this time to think about it. But this isn't new. Going off the grid's not the answer. The grass is green where you water it. Deep ideas from Ruffy. So I have so many friends that think they can do it. Like, they always tell me about their plans. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. I once dated a girl who thought she had the perfect zombie survival plan. And I only remember the details of it because it was just so stupid. And, of course, I was trying to get some. So this probably wasn't the best idea. But I told her, honestly, that plan is dumb. And you sound dumb for saying it. Now, that was a rough night for me. Huge argument. Which then unveiled that I genuinely thought she was dumb in general. Which is not my fault. She was just a dumb person. I can't change that. She was a basic bitch. And I'm not a basic man. I'm a fool, not a basic man. I'm not a high value male either. Not a top G. I'm just a dude with a lot of thoughts. But is this the answer now? Like, this is what we're going to do? Society no longer works for us, so we're going to leave it now? We're going to run away and have dreams of being Peter Pan and the fucking Lost Boys now. How fun is that? Some of you ain't built for it. Sorry. You're not. No matter how much you believe in yourself, some of you ain't built for it. And the ones who are, God bless them. God bless them. It's... We're in a huge time of cosplaying. And that's just so bizarre to me. I remember the idea of being an individual, being yourself, good, bad, or indifferent. But now we're just all cosplaying as something else. Film critics, music connoisseurs, intellectuals, survivalists, doomsday preppers, Jocko Willink. So many guys want to be Jocko Willink. I like Jocko. Don't get me wrong. It's not a joke on Jocko, but at some point, you know what I mean? At some point, you get a little tired of Jocko because of all the guys that fucking love Jocko. You know, I see so many salesmen try to use military guys as their inspiration to get their team hyped up, and it's like, you're not killing anybody. If anything, you should be having con men come in, not military men. You should be having full-on criminals walk into sales departments going, here's how we're going to scam them today. Because that's all it is. Taking someone's money out of their wallet, putting it in yours. Military guys don't do that. They steal resources. It's a little different. It's a little different transporting another country's oil to yours. Gold, minerals, lithium. It's a little different. That's not selling. That's robbing. Selling is conning, scamming. Those are the guys who should be at the seminars. What's a military man gonna tell me? You gotta have routine. You gotta wake up at a certain time of day. And you gotta be laser focused. You gotta be able to reload when you run out of bullets. You gotta be able to focus, laser sight, and get ready to pull the trigger on opportunities. Yeah, like, okay. Like, you guys are pulling the trigger on defenseless people all across the world. You got it. Guatemalans who wanted their fruit. You got it. Congolese people who wanted their metal. You got it. People from Iran who wanted their oil. You got it. Those are the guys who are going to teach me how to sell, how to be a better person. Sure. You got it. Don't get me wrong, they have a place. There's one Jocko clip where I guess he's talking about like disappointments and when things go wrong. And his only response is, good. Sir, we don't have the funding for this operation. Good. Sir, we can't afford this type of equipment. We gotta go lower scale. Good. I'll figure out a way around it. I mean, yeah, like there was a much more chill way to say that. Like, oh, that's unfortunate, but we'll get through it. Like, why does it always have to be so intense? Everyone just wants to be so intense, like they're in a fucking, like in a Hollywood action movie, and it's like, no, not everything has to be so intense. Chill out a bit. And maybe that's what I'm doing here at the Bones on this end of summer situation. Just chilling out. Just relaxing. Just looking around at people. Real people who do real shit on the regular and go, those people on the mainland don't do that. They're cosplaying this. And an entire society built on taking care of one another and fighting against elements. While everyone else on the mainland, just cosplaying. Just cosplaying. Just what it is, man. I wish I could be a tougher dude. I wish I could have mad skills. I can't fix cars. I can't fix machinery. But I can hire someone who can. That's the beauty of a skill economy. I have money. That man's got skills. We trade. And now I'm convenienced. Not a bad way to live. Not a bad way to live. We all gotta use our skills. There's a woman in Boise, Idaho, former sex worker, now she's a sex therapist, not licensed, but she calls herself one, has a master's in education, and was a sex worker, and I think at the Bunny Hill Brothel Ranch for like 10, 15 years. Now she's using what she's learned to help married couples. But what tends to happen is the husband gets a hall pass to sleep with her so she can display certain things that could spice up things in the bedroom so he can bring back to his wife. Which I do find weird. The wives don't. They don't watch to make sure, how to do it correctly. They just trust their husband and how he describes it. And to be fair, I don't know if men are good at describing sexual acts correctly because we're dumb. We just know how things feel. We don't understand the maneuverability that has to occur. This just feels good, and it makes me calm. Like, if I was the wife, I would have to watch and go, how am I going to get this right? It is kind of funny. A lady of a sex therapist going, give me that dick. You know what you're doing. Go, 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 go. It is kind of great. But, she's using her skills. She fucks very well. And a guy wants to save his marriage by fucking another woman so he can bring those things back to his wife. He's got money. She's got skill. They trade. Now that marriage is convenienced. And now, I guess I assume that sex therapist enjoys it. She kind of has to if she's going to sleep with her clients. Maybe she gets off on it. But that's her job. Sex therapist, banging her clients. She saw an industry that needed help. There she is. And you know what? Maybe that is a good career path for the sex worker. You have hands-on experience in a very intimate field and eventually become a doctor or a lecturer or a therapist or any of these things. You become an expert in the subject and you can help people have exciting sex in their marriages. Maybe that's the career path. But of course, the anti-OnlyFans people and the anti-sex worker people are going to go, well, sex work is not real work. And how can we call it the world's oldest profession when it's really, the oldest exploitation? It's like, I think ancient women were getting paid well. It was a job. A service was given. They got gold coins. Did their thing. Oldest profession. Only difference now is there's no pimps to tell them how to spend their shekels. Maybe that's how it starts. You start low-level sex worker. You start doing some videos. You become a big star. And you transition into the office. You start becoming an expert. You start traveling around giving seminars. I love it. Who knew a new career path would open up in my lifetime? When we had pretty much stretched and destroyed all the industries, who knew that a new industry would sprout up and have a future? It's kind of like hip-hop in that way. Hip-hop is 50 years old now. And now you look at Hove, look at Nas, look at KRS-One. We now have adult contemporary hip-hop. We've reached that level where as a genre of music, we've had staying power, and now we have oldies. That's great. It means we're here to stay. And it kind of justifies or legitimizes the industry. Now there's a career path. You start off as a new artist, you're the hot artist, and then you do adult contemporary as you grow with your fans. Hip hop used to be a very youth-oriented industry. Now it's not. Now it's for all ages. And there's now a new career path. It's great, man. If you find a talent you're good with and you make it work. What a time to be alive. You don't see them running off to the woods. Want to go off the grid. I don't know many rappers that would survive off the grid. Sex workers, maybe. Possibility. But that's the thing. We live in a fantastic time. It's both horrifying and interesting. While half of society is collapsing, the other one's figuring out a way to thrive. It's the transitional time of the 2000s, of the 2020s. 2024, right around the corner. Jesus Christ. We're almost midway through the decade. Next year I'll be 36. Jesus Christ. That's not good. But shout out to that sex therapist. Shout out to her. She's figuring it out. I just wonder if there was a way where she didn't have to sleep with the husbands to make it work. But it's the hands-on experience that probably separates them from other ones. Other sex therapists probably aren't getting into the nitty gritty, figuring out, oh yeah, this guy, he moves weird. He doesn't know how to ask for things, so I can show him how to ask for things more hands-on. Maybe that's where she excels. It's one thing to tell someone how you behave during sex. It's another thing for them to experience it. So maybe she's figured that part out. Maybe she's like, listen, he's not going to be honest with me. He's not going to tell me the real nitty gritty. I'm not going to get an idea of how awkward he is to go, hey, can I put it in your butt? Hey, can I come on your face? He's not going to know how to ask these things of his wife. I'm a pro. I've done the game before. Let me work with this guy. Listen, loser. Here's how you ask for it. Here's what you gotta do. You're being really creepy about it. You're more of a Dexter kind of serial killer. Tone it down. Be more romantic, or be more sexy aggressive. Not can you cheat at your face? Too many guys like that. And that's what she realizes. And she's like, why put their wives through that embarrassment? I will do it, while also enjoying myself. And they will go home more confident. The wives pay huge money, apparently. $400 to $500 a session for these things. But can you put a price on your marriage? Can you put a price on sexual satisfaction? Most do, but can't put a price on a happy marriage, can you? I'm just happy I'm not at a place where I need that. I'm a sexually confident person. But them other people. Boise, Idaho, of all places. I'm actually kind of taken back by it. It being Boise. I would expect that in New York, California, Seattle, Portland, but Boise? Boise's getting open-minded. I like it. Shout out to Boise. Well, listen, we're at 52 minutes, I think. We hope you enjoyed this Rambles. Listen, we're in the in-between summer ending and school starting. All you can do is ramble as you wonder where the summer went. How are we so close to the end of the year already? What is going on? I don't know. What you should do is get a coffee, sit at your window, and just say, hey, this moment's for me. This moment right here is for me. And I'm going to enjoy it every step of the way. A little pause while I listen to this guy ramble. We'll be back next week. Back in the studio. Talking shit. I think I want to do this 15-minute city thing. Yeah, I think I want to do research on it. Okay, there's a lot of talk about it, and people seem to be really scared about it. I'm half and half. But next week we'll address it, and we'll see if we can make some sense out of it. See if we can get people to be less scared about it. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. I sure will, as I enjoy this vacation I'm on. It's been nice to relax. It's been nice to know I've got some time before I start this new gig. And we'll figure out a recording schedule then. But worry not. The podcast does not go anywhere. This train does not stop for anyone. Then again, I think we both know how this one is going to end.